Dr. R. Sugaraj Samuel. He is working as a professor in physics at New College, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE and BIT SAT. He has more than 16 years experience in both teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronics Science Practicals, which is prescribed for the syllabus for BSc Electronics Science by University of Madras. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences and has also conducted many training programs and workshops to motivate energetic students. His research areas are ultrasonic, polymers, crystal growth and photovoltaic systems. He is experienced in both regular classroom teaching and online teaching as well.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on oscillations and waves. In this lecture, we are going to see the extension of superposition of waves. Before we start the lecture, let us see the session outline. In this lecture, we are going to see the superposition of SHMs with equal frequencies, maybe different amplitudes and different phases. But the main highlight here is the two SHMs should have equal frequencies. In the last lecture, we have discussed what are the ways in which the superposition could take place. Now, we are going to take up a special case in which the two SHMs are going to interfere or superimpose with each other, which have same frequencies, that too in the collinear direction, that means in the same direction. So, let us first consider the two equations which fulfill this condition and then give an approach for analyzing the superposition or adding of the two waves. So, let us consider the two equations first. These are the two equations. Let us consider the two SHMs with equal frequencies and different amplitudes and different phases. Their equations could be considered like this: x1 is equal to a1 sin omega t plus phi 1. The second equation as x2 is equal to a2 sin omega t plus phi 2. See here the amplitudes are varying, it is a1 and a2 are the two amplitudes of the two waves, but they have the same frequency omega. Here the omega is angular frequency and phi 1 and phi 2 are the initial phase angles. There is a difference in this also. So, they have different amplitudes and different phases, and we are going to give a analytical treatment to this. The above two SHMs have equal frequencies, maybe angular frequency omega, and different amplitudes a1 and a2 and different phases phi 1 and phi 2. At this juncture, we should know what is the relation between angular frequency omega and the linear frequency nu. This is a good recap. Omega is equal to 2 pi nu. So, this is the relation relating the angular frequency omega and the linear frequency nu. Here we are going to consider only the angular frequency. When we say frequency, it means the angular frequency only, because we have a converting equation for the linear frequency. So, let us consider that term as omega itself. We will refer omega as simply frequency, we will not mention it every time angular frequency. Now, how do we add these two waves? Superposition means adding of two waves. So, literally these two are to be added, we have to just add them one with the other. Let us see how it is done. Now, to find the resultant, we have to simply add them as shown. See, x is this is the resultant, x is the addition of x1 and x2. These are the two waves. Now, let us substitute for x1 and x2 and we have a equation, trigonometric equation with two sine functions, two sine terms, but the addition requires the knowledge of the basic trigonometric identities. There are several trigonometric identities. When we say trigonometric identity, they are the regular results that we have in trigonometry. So, with the knowledge of trigonometry only we can further simplify this expression. Let us see what are the required trigonometric identities needed here for simplifying this addition further. The following are the useful trigonometric identities for such simplification. We have sin a plus b is equal to sin a cos b plus cos a sin b, and all the related equations. I need not read out all the equations, these are very familiar trigonometric identities. Even in the higher secondary course we learn all these trigonometric identities. We are going to use these identities for simplifying the given expression. Let us see how these identities are useful for simplifying the original expression, the addition of two sine functions further. Let us expand the terms using the identity. We have earlier come across this function sin a plus b is equal to sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. This is mainly used here. So, here we have a similar expression sin omega t plus phi 1 and sin omega t plus phi 2. So, omega t is taken as a and phi 1 is taken as b. So, we expand them using the trigonometric identities. The expansion is shown here, and then to proceed further we identify some common terms. Here we have taken a single omega for the two waves. So, that sin omega t is taken common and the related terms are written. Similarly, cos omega t is taken common and the related terms are written within the bracket. So, we just have a kind of simplification so that we could arrive at a meaningful expression through the simplification. So, our main aim is we should arrive at a meaningful mathematical expression, so that we could easily interpret the result and discuss about it. So, let us see how the simplifications are further done. After taking the sin omega t and cos omega t as common terms, now we are assuming this term which is in the bracket a1 cos phi 1 plus a2 cos phi 2, and similarly here also a1 sin phi 1 and a2 sin phi 2 as two separate expressions. Let us assume for further simplification by using the available trigonometric identities. So, this term a cos epsilon, this epsilon has got a meaning, we will see what it is later, and similarly this term in the bracket is also assumed as another single term. We will discuss what these a and epsilon are later, because they have a separate meaning. So, we introduce two terms a and epsilon additionally, so that this simplification process is enhanced with the available equations of trigonometry. So, when that is used, the equations seem to be further getting simplified. Now, the equation becomes this one here sin omega t a cos epsilon cos omega t and a sin epsilon. Now, this equation is very much fitting into one of the identities. So, when we do that, a is taken common and this is a regular identity which is nothing but sin a plus b, that form. So, we identify this omega t as a and epsilon as b. So, we arrive at this equation, further simplifying using trigonometric identities, we arrive at this equation x is equal to a sin omega t plus epsilon. And when we look at the final equation that we have arrived at, it is something very simple and lot of things are to be discussed from it. We actually took two equations, added them. The equations had the form of a sin omega t plus phi with respective terms like a1 phi 1 and another equation which has amplitude a2 and phi 2 as phase, and omega is common for both. So, we added them together and use the trigonometric identities, simplified with the available mathematical tool, and the final result when we consider, it seemed to be very simple, and not only that, it is not only simple, it is once again coming to the taking the form of another SHM. So, let us have the final equation once again. This is again we finally get another SHM. This is nothing but an SHM, simple harmonic motion only we are getting. So, what is the conclusion? Addition of two simple harmonic motions with the conditions that we have mentioned earlier. And the only main condition is they should have the same frequency. It results in another SHM, maybe with a modified amplitude and modified phase. When we say modified amplitude and modified phase, we introduce two terms in the process of simplification, A and epsilon. They are the modified amplitude and phase. So, we will make this as a statement because it is a very powerful statement with which we can do magic in the process of superposition. So, let us make the statement now. Now, it is concluded that the addition of two SHMs with equal frequencies, different amplitudes and different phases result in another SHM with same frequency and modified amplitude and maybe modified phase. So, this is the final conclusion. Let us have a look at the equation once again, so that we reiterate what we have learned through this simplification and the result arrived. The amplitudes of the two SHMs are A1 and A2, but the amplitude of the resultant SHM seem to be A. Again, the phases of the two SHMs are phi 1 and phi 2. The phase of the resultant SHM is epsilon. We can find out A in terms of A1 and A2 and also epsilon in terms of phi 1 and phi 2 using the two equations we have already assumed. So, what is the conclusion? When we add two SHMs with equal frequency, we will again get a single SHM with the same frequency. If we have already taken two different amplitudes, the resultant will have a modified amplitude, and two different phases, it will have a modified phase. So, this is how the analytical treatment to the superposition gives us the result. Now, we need to identify what the resultant amplitude is and what the resultant phase is. For that, once again we have to use the equations that we used in the process of simplification. In one stage, we have introduced the term A and epsilon, right, A sin epsilon and A cos epsilon with the related expressions on the right hand side. So, those two equations are once again taken into consideration. They are to be properly handled to find out A and epsilon. Let us see how that simplification is done further. These are the assumed equations while the simplification was done. A cos epsilon, this is the expression for it, which is considered as equation 1, and A sin epsilon, for that this is the expression and that is considered as equation 2. So, these are the two terms we wanted to get away while doing the simplification. So, we assumed the terms on the left hand side, A cos epsilon and A sin epsilon as the related terms. So, we need to find out A and epsilon here. So, from these two equations themselves, A and epsilon can be found out. How it is done? To find A, square and add A1 and A2, the two equations. To find epsilon, divide the second equation with the first equation. So, by doing this process, we will be able to find A in terms of A1, A2, maybe the phi 1 and phi 2 also, which we have already assumed, and similarly the term epsilon, which is the final phase angle, in terms of again A1, A2, phi 1 and phi 2. Phi 1 and phi 2 are the individual phases, A1 and A2 are the individual amplitudes. So, let us do this operation squaring and adding equation 1 and 2 to find A and dividing the equation 2 by 1 to find out the respective terms A and epsilon. This is how it is done. Squaring and adding equation 1 and 2 gives this final form. Why it is done? Because we wanted to get away with the epsilon terms. So, sin theta, sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1, that is identity. So, we will have only a square on the left hand side, that is why we squared and added them, and in that process we have this lengthy expression on the right hand side, because this is a quadratic a plus b the whole square, this is also a quadratic term a plus b the whole square. So, we will have lot of such terms a square plus b square plus 2ab, that is the equation we used to expand it further. And when we finally simplify, there are some terms getting cancelled. See, this a1 could be taken common, here it has sin square and cos square, these two could be taken as a1 square itself, this is a1 square. So, once again identity, trigonometric identity has to be used to simplify the third term on the two expressions here shown in the bracket. We will finally arrive at this relation a square is equal to a1 square plus a2 square plus 2 a1 a2 cos phi 1 minus phi 2. This is a difference in phase, the individual phases. But our aim is to find the resultant amplitude A, but we have got a square. So, what to do? We have to take a root. If you take a square root, we will have an expression for the resultant amplitude. So, that is what is shown here. Here phi 1 and phi 2 is called the phase difference, and we arrive at this final expression A is equal to the term given here is shown in the square root. So, this is a very important result used for finding the resultant amplitude. The resultant amplitude has terms like individual amplitudes A1, A2 and also the individual phases phi 1 and phi 2, but the phi 1 and phi 2 appear within the bracket in the difference form. So, it is nothing but the phase difference, phi 1 minus phi 2 is the phase difference, which could sometimes be written as delta. Whenever there is a phase difference, the difference is normally written in the symbol with the symbol delta. So, that could also be used here. So, by manipulating the two assumed equation itself, we will be able to find out a meaningful expression for the resultant amplitude, which very much depends on the terms which are in the original individual equations. Now, to find out the resultant phase epsilon, we need to divide the second equation with the first equation. So, that is also shown here. Let us have a look at it. So, here what is done? This is actually the second equation, this is the first equation. So, here we have the tan epsilon, because it is sin epsilon divided by cos epsilon will give us tan epsilon, and we take the turn to this side as the inverse, tan inverse of this above expression. So, we have successfully found the resultant phase also, which is epsilon. So, this epsilon also now depends on the terms a1, a2, phi 1, phi 2, the 4 terms are there in that also. So, finally, we have got the two unknown terms a and epsilon. A is the resultant amplitude, epsilon is the resultant phase. So, by this analytical method, we have concluded that addition of two SHMs with equal frequencies will result in another SHM with the same frequency may be a modified amplitude and modified phase. To find the modified amplitude and modified phase, we have the related equations. We can either call that as a modified amplitude or even the resultant amplitude. Similarly, modified phase or the resultant phase. So, we have equations for that also. So, once they are available, we will be able to directly write the equation of the resultant expression for SHM, that the resultant of the superposition of two waves. So, this is how the superposition of two waves is done with an analytical approach. Let us see what we could discuss further from this. There is another insight in this. This analysis makes us think of another possibility that any SHM could be written as the sum of two or more SHMs with same frequencies and different amplitudes and phases. We will discuss about this in the future episodes. I would like to highlight upon what we have stated now. From the superposition of two waves with same frequency, what have we arrived at? We have arrived at another equation, another SHM with the same frequency and modified amplitude and modified phase. So, addition of two SHMs gives a resultant SHM only. So, that is what we have learnt through the entire discussion. And if that being the case, any SHM could also be synthesized or it could be divided into individual SHMs. So, any SHM could be written as the addition of two or more SHMs also. So, this is also one mathematical process. We learned this under a title called Fourier analysis. There we will take up any waveform, any oscillation, and that could be written as the addition of two terms. The two terms will in turn have a sum of a series of sine functions and series of cos functions with individual coefficients, sine coefficient and cos coefficient. So, by adding the simple SHMs, we will be able to arrive at another SHM which is of any form. In this lecture especially we have taken up a very specific case of same frequency omega. We have not altered the frequencies. If the frequencies are altered, what sort of resultant expression we would get? We would get a modified expression which would have a different form. In the future lectures, we are going to discuss about that kind of superposition also, a superposition with different frequencies that might require a greater trigonometric knowledge. Of course, we have the trigonometric identities for handling all sorts of simplifications. Maybe with a knowledge of geometry or the phasor diagram which I have mentioned in the last lecture, this kind of typically using trigonometric identities for simplification is analytical approach, and with the diagrams, with phasor diagrams or vector method, which is also called vector method, we will be able to visualize what sort of results we could obtain by the vector analysis. I would like to reserve the vector analysis of this addition for the future lectures, because if we take up that for discussion, we may not be able to arrive at a meaningful conclusion in this episode itself. So, I would like to reserve the vector approach of the same superposition for another separate episode. But I would like to highlight the result what we have arrived once again. The addition of two SHMs with equal frequency will result in another SHM with same frequency, maybe with a modified amplitude and modified phase. And its further extension, what we have, we will the reverse method, the reverse analogy. If one expression could be written as the addition of two, any simple harmonic motion could be written as the sum of several such SHMs. So, in future we will be able to take up those concepts for further discussion that will have a greater that will give us a greater understanding, because the oscillations are very important as far as the communication technologies are concerned. The communication technology happens with the electromagnetic wave, because there the wave is progressing. Here we have taken up only the oscillations. In the forthcoming lectures we will be able to take up the waves that progresses in space or in medium, all that has the basics very much dependent on the SHM. So, let us see the another insight once again and go ahead to take up the concepts further. This analysis makes us think of another possibility, that any SHM could be written as the sum of two or more SHMs with same frequency and different amplitudes and phases. Let us look at today's summary before we wind up. In this session we have seen the concepts of superposition of SHM with equal frequencies, maybe with different amplitudes and different phases. We have arrived at the conclusion, addition of two SHMs with same frequency result in another SHM with the same frequency and modified amplitude and modified phase. Let us test our understanding by answering these questions. Prove that the superposition of two SHMs in the same direction with same frequency result in another SHM. What are the expressions for the resultant amplitude and phase if two SHMs are superimposed with same frequency and different amplitude and phase? This is the analytical approach of analyzing superposition. There is another approach that I have mentioned in the earlier episodes, that a phasor diagram or vector approach is also there for this superposition. That method can be taken up for discussion in the next episode. So, with this I conclude this lecture. Thank you for listening.